so nervous up here. I don't know why I've been that way today, but God knows. Keep praying for me.
You're doing good.
Okay. Oh, you copied mine.
No, that one of those is my sermon. I think you might have grabbed it.
Go with it.
Yours is in there.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, really? I didn't think it looked like mine.
I tried not to copy too much.
Hallelujah. Praise you, Father. Father, we do thank you now for your word, for your truth, for your life. And may the words of truth and life go forth now from your servant and give glory to you. In Yeshua's name, amen. Amen. Title, Joshua, Caleb, and Rahab. We know the stories of Joshua and Caleb and also of Rahab the harlot from our Haftarah reading well. Just to remind us, when Moses was told to send for yourselves scouts to discover the conditions of the promised land, one from each tribe, he included Joshua from the tribe of Ephraim and Caleb from the tribe of Judah. The 12 men were sent into Canaan to explore it. They were supposed to gain information on the cities and fortifications and to learn of the nature of the inhabitants. They were also instructed to bring back samples of the fruit of the land, one of which was in the form of huge clusters of grapes that had to be carried on a pole by 2 men. So then Joshua and Caleb declared that the land is flowing with milk and honey and can be taken with Adonai going before us. But, there's always a but, the 10 of the scouts spoke collectively to slander the land by reporting that it devours its inhabitants. They felt like grasshoppers among the giants in the land. So, for their lack of faith in Adonai, that generation had to spend another 40 years in the wilderness. Then the Haftarah describes how Joshua redeems the actions of the spies. Instead of 1 man from each tribe, he silently, without telling the others that means, sends 2 spies after his own heart. And these 2 gave the same report that Joshua and Caleb had given 40 years before. They can confirm that the inhabitants fear Adonai and that the land can be taken now. And this then is where the harlot Rahab saves herself and all her family by hiding the 2 spies from those after them. She is told that if she hangs a red cloth out the window that the spies are let down by, that when the Israelites come to take the city, she and all who stay in her house with her will be saved. And it was so. Finally, for those of us today, all of Hebrews chapter 4 needs to be reviewed. I recommend you go home and read the whole chapter. But I'm going to read a few verses now, from verses 6 through 11. So then, it remains for some to enter into it, that is God's rest. Yet those who formerly had good news proclaimed to them did not enter in because of disobedience. Stress that word. Disobedience is equated to unbelief, or unbelief is equated to disobedience. Something to think about. Again, God appoints a certain day, today, saying, through David, after so long a time, just as it has been said before, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. And today is our today. Let us make sure we're listening to him. For if Joshua had given them rest, God would not have spoken of another day later on. So there remains a Shabbat rest for the people of God today. For the one who has entered God's rest has also ceased from his own work, ceased from doing things our own way, without inviting him to guide us, just as God did from his. Let us therefore make every effort to enter that rest, so that no one may fall through the same pattern of disobedience. Resting, walking in peace in the midst of serious trials, impossible if we try to do it by our own strength or our own wisdom. but very possible if we truly trust Adonai with all of our heart, soul, and mind. Faith requires only that we see ourselves as sons of Adonai, called to face giants without fear. Timing is controlled by him, we know that, but perfect faith ensures right timing, both in the running and the resting with God. And may it be so with us. Amen.
Okay.